in my wrestling.
Romans!
What?
16!
What?
19 says!
Say what?
Romans!
What?
16!
What?
19 says!
Say what?
Be excellent at what is good. Be innocent of evil. Be excellent at what is good. Be innocent of evil. And the God of peace will soon crush Satan. Yeah, God will crush him where? Underneath your feet. Woo! Romans!
What?
16!
What?
19 says!
Say what?
Romans!
What?
16!
What?
19 says!
Say what?
Be excellent at what is good. Be innocent of evil. Be excellent at what is good. Be innocent of evil. And the God of peace will soon crush Satan. Yeah, God will crush him
Where?
underneath your feet. Woo! Romans!
What?
16!
What?
19 says!
Say what?
Romans!
What?
16!
What?
19 says!
Say what?
I've got a river of life flowing out of me. Makes the lame to walk and the blind to see. Opens prison doors, sets the captives free. I've got a river of life flowing out of me. Spring up a well, splash splash within my soul. Spring up a well, within my soul. Spring up a well, tidal wave and bring to me that life abundantly. The B-I-B-L-E, yes, that's the book for me. I stand alone on the Word of God, the B-I-B-L-E, the B-I-B-L-E, yes, that's the book for me. I stand alone on the Word of God, the B-I-B-L-E, the B-I-B-L-E, yes, that's the book for me. I stand alone on the Word of God, the B-I-B-L-E, the B-I-B-L-E, that's the book for me. I stand alone on the Word of God, the B-I-B-L-E, the B-I-B-L-E, that's the book for me. I stand alone on the Word of God, the B-I-B-L-E. I know, for the Bible tells me so. Little ones who lead me wrong, they are weak, but He is strong. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. The Bible tells me so.
You will carry me safe to shore.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Awana Memory Verse Time. So today we're going to be learning Lamentations 3 verse 26, and we're going to be doing some actions to go along with it. So first we're going to read through the verse one time, and then I'll start teaching you guys the actions and we'll erase some words, and yeah, so we'll just learn it together. So Lamentations 3 verse 26. It is good to wait quietly for the salvation of the Lord. Lamentations 3 verse 26. Okay, so our first action is going to be wait. So when we say wait, we're going to tap our wrist like we're looking at a watch. So, and then we're going to take out the word wait. So now when we get to this word, we'll do our wrist tapping and say the word. So Lamentations 3 verse 26. It is good to wait quietly for the salvation of the Lord. Lamentations 3 verse 26. Alright, so next we're going to take away the word good. So when we say good, we're going to put thumbs up, like good job. So Lamentations 3 verse 26. It is good to wait quietly for the salvation of the Lord. Lamentations 3 verse 26. Alright, so now for our word salvation, we're going to make a cross. Alright, so Lamentations 3 verse 26. It is good to wait quietly for the salvation of the Lord. Lamentations 3 verse 26. So now, for our word quietly, we're going to put our finger on our lips. like we're shushing or telling someone to be quiet, okay? So Lamentations 3 verse 26. It is good to wait quietly for the salvation of the Lord. Lamentations 3 verse 26. Okay, and last one for the Lord, we're gonna point to the sky, okay? So, Lamentations 3 verse 26. It is good to wait quietly for the salvation of the Lord. Lamentations 3 verse 26. So keep practicing that and put some more actions to it if you want, or change up the actions if you want to. And we'll see you next week for some more memory verse time. That was awkward.
I won't feel what tomorrow brings.
Hey, welcome back to Awana Games. We got here Sophia and Sarah. We got an easy game. We got 3 balloons. Let's see how long they can keep them off the ground. Let's get going. All right, let's see how long she can go. On your mark, get set, go.
Okay.
All right, she's got the white one. She's going for the purple.
No. No, I lost the purple.
Oh, time.
It was at 7 seconds.
7 seconds. Oh, that's gonna be rough. All right, let's see how Sarah does. All right, Sarah's giving her a chance. On your mark, get set, go. 3 up. Oh, green one down.
6.5. 6.31. Not even joking.
Sophia's first attempt, 7 seconds. Let's see how she does on attempt number 2 out of 3. Ready, set, go. Oh, no, a bad toss. All right, Sarah's going for her second attempt. Ready, set, go. Up, she got a good toss. This is gonna be a good run. Down. All right, ready, set, go. Seems to be a good run. Purple one's going away. Green down. All right, Sarah on her attempt. On your mark. Get set, go. Green one down. Well, they couldn't quite do it, for 60 seconds, but Sophia was able to keep it up the longest. She's our winner. See how long you can do it at home. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.
With each morning, I'll rise and sing. My God's love will.
Hello, welcome back to Awana Storytime. It's great to have you joining us. We hope you've been able to watch the other stories that we've been done, that you've been joining us in this story as we've gotten up till now. So just a little review, because we're kind of starting in the middle of a story today. From last week, we learned about someone named Joseph. We learned about Joseph from the book of Genesis, the first book of the Bible. Now, what we've learned about Joseph so far, we've learned that Joseph has lots of brothers. We've learned that Joseph is the second youngest, and Joseph is kind of the favorite, his dad's favorite. We've also learned that Joseph was given dreams, that God gave Joseph dreams, special dreams, not just any dreams, special dreams that were talking about things that hadn't happened yet, things that were gonna happen in the future. Because God knows everything, God can do this. So God had shown Joseph something that was going to happen. In his dream, there were all these sheaves of grain, all these tied together pieces of grain. And there was one for each of his brothers, and then there was one for Joseph. In his dream, his sheaf stood tall in the middle, and all his brothers bowed in front of him. Of course, his brothers were not happy about this, and they sold him into slavery. They sold their own brother into slavery. Joseph goes to Egypt as a slave. He's working there. He's doing a great job there. He's trusting God even though these bad things have happened. He's trusting God, and still more bad things happen to him. He gets falsely accused and gets thrown into prison. And that's where we pick up our story of Joseph. He's been thrown into prison. So this is where we're going to pick up our story. Now, while he was in prison, there were, we'll put this is our Joseph for the story. Well, he's in prison. We have two other guys that the Pharaoh, the king, had thrown into prison too, and while they're in prison, they have dreams again. One of them has this dream of these basket of bread, and birds are coming and taking things out of it. The other one, the king's cupbearer, has dreams of having the cup again, is squeezing juice into the cup, and they're really bothered by these dreams when they wake up. What's going on? And Joseph comes. God tells Joseph again what these dreams mean so that he can tell them what they mean. And just like he says, just like God told him, the things that he told them happened just that way. So God gave Joseph the understanding here of what was going to happen in the future. Now, after this happened, Joseph is still in the prison. One of the king's servants that had the dream, he got back to his job for the king, but Joseph is still in prison. Now Joseph asked the king's cupbearer to remember him, to tell the king about him, but he forgot. Now after 2 years, the Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, he also has a dream. We're just going to put up part of the dream, but one part of it was that there were nice big ears of corn, and then scrawny little ones, and they gobble up the big ones. He also dreamt that there were 7 big fat cows, and then 7 skinny ones come and gobble up the big fat ones, and then the big fat ones are gone. It's just the skinny ones left. And Pharaoh also wakes up very worried about this dream. What's going on? Very troubled by it. Pharaoh calls for everybody, all of his important people, his magicians and everybody, to come and tell him what the dream means, but they can't. And that's when Pharaoh's cupbearer remembers, oh no, I was supposed to remember this Joseph. Joseph had told him what his dreams meant. He was supposed to remember him. Now he tells the Pharaoh, there was this guy, Joseph, who told me what my dream meant. So the Pharaoh, because he really wants to know about this dream, he calls for Joseph out of the prison and asks him to tell him what the dream means. Now Joseph tells him that he can't tell him what the dream means, but God knows what the dream means. The dream comes from God. God knows everything. God knows the things that haven't happened yet, and that God can show him what the dream means. So God does show Joseph what the king's dream meant. God tells Joseph to tell the king that all of those big fat ears of corn, the big fat cows, that's talking about 7 years of lots of food. The crops are going to be great. They're going to have tons of extra food. But then there's the skinny ones, 7 skinny ones. That's going to mean 7 very hard years. They're not going to have crops. All the crops are going to die. There's not going to be enough food. And that's God's telling him what is going to happen. So when the king hears the meaning of his dreams, he decides that he's going to put someone in charge of collecting lots of extra food during those 7 good years to save up for the bad years. So who does he pick? He picks Joseph to be in charge of collecting all the extra good thing and to be the second in command in the kingdom next to the king himself. So Joseph gets dressed as an Egyptian, and he's going to be in charge of doing this very important job. So we've seen that these dreams so far have happened just the way God said they would, just the way that God told Joseph that they would. In the prison, those dreams happened just like God said they would. The Pharaoh's dream happened just like God said it would. So here we're going to see too that Joseph's dreams from way long ago are going to happen just like God said. So at first they do have the 7 good years, plenty of crops and lots of food, and Joseph wisely stores it all up. But then, just as God said, we're going to have after that 7 years of famine. In this famine, when Egypt has enough food, lots of other places do not have enough food, so it did not take long. And who do we see coming to Egypt? Before long, we see Joseph's brothers. We haven't seen them for a while, but they hear that there's food in Egypt. So here they come to Egypt to ask for food. Just like God had said way long ago with those bowing sheaves of grain, Joseph's brothers come and they don't know who he is because he looks like an Egyptian now. They come and they bow before him. What God has said would happen has happened. And there's lots to the story here with Joseph and his brothers. He doesn't tell them right away who he is. He gives them some grain, sends them back. They end up coming back. The second time, they also bring with them Joseph's younger brother, Benjamin. And after a couple things Joseph does to see if his brothers have really changed, Joseph tells them who he is. And I want to read you that part out of the Bible. So we're going to be reading out of Genesis chapter 45. We're going to read verses 4 to 8. Then Joseph said to his brothers, "Come close to me." When they had done so, he said, "I am your brother Joseph, the one you sold into Egypt. And now do not be distressed and do not be angry with yourselves for selling me here, because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you. For 2 years now there have been famine in the land, and for the next 5 years there will not be plowing and reaping. But God sent me ahead of you to preserve for you a remnant on earth and to save your lives by a great deliverance. So then it was not you who sent me here, but God. He made me father to Pharaoh, lord of his entire household and ruler of all Egypt." Wow. Did you hear Joseph's attitude here? After so many years, his brothers are here. His brothers are here bowing down to him, just like long ago was said would happen. Is Joseph angry with them? We would think he would be after all they did to him. He's been gone from his family for so long. Hard things have happened to him. He's been falsely accused. He's been in jail. Is he angry with them? No, he's not. He instead says to them, you know what? What you wanted to turn into something bad, God has used for good. God has used what you wanted to be bad, God has turned it into something to save many, many people's lives. We can see that even in hard times, God hasn't forgotten Joseph. Even in these bad things that have happened to him, God hasn't forgotten him. And Joseph hasn't lost his trust in God either. Joseph is trusting God even through the hard times. God made Joseph ruler of Egypt to provide food for a lot of people, to save not only the lives of the people in Egypt, but to save the lives of his family as well. We can see that God provided for Abraham's descendants, for the family that the deliverer was going to come from. God is taking care of them. God knows everything. God knew all these things that were going to happen before they happened, and God works out his plan. Many, many years before this, God had told Abraham that his family would end up in another country. And here we see it. Not only did Joseph's family come to buy grain, but they go back after this. They bring back their father, all their families, their wives, their kids, everybody, and they all move to Egypt. Just like God had said long ago would happen. God did what he said. Everything that God says will happen. We see also that God used hard things that happened to Joseph for great good. Today, God still keeps his promises. God is still doing what he plans, even during difficult times. May we choose to trust God and his plan like Joseph. May we keep our eyes fixed on Jesus, even when times are difficult. May we never forget that we serve the all-knowing, all-powerful God who keeps his promises. God has promised that if we follow him, he will never leave us or forsake us, that he'll be with us always, even to the end of the world, and that he causes all things to work together for the good for those who love him. And we know God keeps his promises. May we keep our eyes fixed on him, trusting in him, and trusting in his promises like we see from Joseph. Thank you for joining us, and God bless you. We hope to see you again next week.